Hello. Well, when I was kind of getting started on this project, I started reading a lot of Freud's letters. So I wanted a kind of personal way in. And as probably lots of you know, Freud was a really brilliant letter writer, kind of very entertaining and moving. And as I was reading the letters, I was sort of jotting down quotes and stuff as they kind of appealed to me, thinking, oh, I'll do something with these later. And I gradually kind of realised that that was actually the material. So the poems that I'm reading are mainly like collages using Freud's sort of own words, making him say things that he didn't exactly say but that I want him to say, sort of about the position of women or about grief. So yeah, just to say apologies and thanks to Freud if his spirit is hovering around here anywhere. To our happy reunion. In the morning I lay there in the vilest pain and looked at myself in the mirror till I shuddered at the sight of my wild beard. My rage rose and rose until finally it boiled over. True, the tyrannical temperament that makes little girls afraid of me could not be subdued. You vain little worm, how do you like that threat? So this is how you neglect me, my beautiful diagnosis, my severe little princess. Comfort is the last thing I'm entitled to. Going for walks makes me melancholy. Do you believe in omens? Just you wait. When I come, you will soon get used to having a master again. This war. I became a therapist against my will. A strange feeling of forlornness, a feeling I could not have stood. Painful isolation, quite steep and slanting. A beautiful forest which had the one drawback of seeming never to end. I've had to struggle so long. I've always been frank with you, haven't I? I wanted to explain the reason for my inaccessibility. I'm lying here on a short leash in this filthy hole. So far I haven't been locked up. Several people point to gaps in my face where the little girl has been cut out. She screams and screams without any self-control, ravaged by the heat and the blood and thunder melodrama, neither describable nor bearable. I felt I had known her all my life. The loss of a mother must be something very strange. A 2.5-hour journey through the most desolate lagoons, a magnificent river, vaults, waterfalls, stalactites. You must imagine it like this. You climb a hill as high as the Leopoldsberg. The road is so narrow that only a light little carriage can go up it. The carriage can't hold more than 2 people, a mother and a child. There is a kind of holy Sunday stillness over everything. Huge mountains, some overgrown, some bare in strange formation. Sorry that I have to write about such sad things. To mourn is of course permissible. On our way back it began to rain, but gently. The rest, you will know what I mean, is silence. My nervous condition. Until nightfall, I was with the dead. We either had to go all the way back or stay down below. For none of us can life be made any safer. Horses break loose. Hailstones of a fantastic size beat against the windows. And we hadn't the courage. Everything comes to an end. Today's rain. I am thinking of eating a pomegranate. And this is the last sort of collage poem I'm going to read, and I'm going to just read a couple more that were kind of emerged during the process, that were in my own words, but still sort of vaguely on the theme. This is called All the Beautiful Things I Still Have to Say. I have some sad news for you. I am but a symbol, a shadow cast on paper. If only you knew how things look within me at the moment. Trees covered in white blossom, the remains of my physical self. Do you really find my appearance so attractive? Darling, I've been telling an awful lot of lies lately. If only I knew what you were doing now, standing in the garden and gazing out into the deserted street. Not a mermaid, but a lovely human being. The whole thing reminds me of a man trying to rescue a birdcage from the burning house. I feel compelled to express myself poetically. I'm not normally a hunter of relics, but it was this childhood scene. My mother, all the while I kept thinking her face has such a wild look, as though she had never existed. The fact is, I've not yet seen her in daylight. Distance must remain distance. A few proud buildings, your lovely photograph. I find this loss very hard to bear. The bells are ringing. I don't quite know why. What makes all autobiographies worthless is, after all, their mendacity. Yesterday and today have been bad days. This oceanic feeling, continuous inner monologues. I said, all the beautiful things I still have to say will have to remain unsaid, and the writing table flooded. So that's all from Freud personally. This one's called Now All My Poems Are About Death. I feel as though I'm really living. Under the trees, on the wet ground, with the swaggering crows, I photograph myself in the cemetery. I kneel and speak to you, and I observe myself doing it. The crows observe themselves. The dead can answer us only in our own words. Can you imagine? Of course, you can't imagine. Your silence reaches out from inside me and meets itself on the outside. A sign says, some memorials may be unstable. I lose my way. I stop beside a monument to hope, photograph my shadow falling on it. But what is the silence like, someone wanted to know. Tell us something in your own inimitable style. It's raining in the cemetery. I pose and yet I cannot pose. I knelt, I spoke, I cried, I wrote this down, regretted it. And this is the last one, it's called This Extremity. Why do we take something abject and raise it up? Perhaps the only beautiful thing in life is to have been infinitely ravaged, wrote a famous masochist. I wanted to see that. I cast a wish upon somebody, cast it again. They didn't flinch, they didn't call out once. I had to wonder. Then perhaps after all, it was my body. I was the dog owner and the dog. I walked myself to this extremity without mercy and with complete certainty. I looked myself in the mirror. My eyes were blue stones flung at me. Yeah, so what? My tears were blood, and that was also beautiful. I said to myself, I don't know who you are. I reified my pain until it became a poem. I swore this or that was a sign. I broke the mirror so it would show me in pieces. I said, let me go to this shaman with grey eyes. What do you want to know about the sea? I'll tell you. I'll tell you everything. I don't want to know anything about the sea, said the shaman. Thanks for listening.